Blizzard. Blizzard. What are you doing? Every single time these Mythic Plus updates roll around, I'm like I'm like hoping, I'm praying, I'm on my knees, looking up to God, asking, are they finally going to make some good changes to Mythic Plus? And every single time God has disappointed me. This is why I'm still an atheist. He won't answer my prayers. Blizzard, what are you doing? I like first of all, all I've seen are the additional affixes. So I haven't actually taken a look through all of this, but I'm seeing the dungeon roster for season 1 right now. What the hell is Miss of Turnescythe doing here? Necrotic Wake is fine. I'm fine with that. I like Grim Batal. What the hell is Siege of Borealis doing here? What are these two doing here? Those two dungeons suck, in my opinion. Maybe like Dead Mines. I don't know. Wait, I was just about to say. I don't know if you'll go that back that far for Mythic Plus, but I see Grim Batol right there, which was also from Cataclysm. Put Dead Mines on the Mythic Plus rotation, please, please. I love Dead Mines. um, I will say, Blizzard, you did do good with making the like squishing down the Mythic Plus levels. That was good. Fix the goddamn affixes. Yeah, I like that it's like +10 is kind of like the max. Not necessarily the max, but like you know what I mean. Like I don't have to go up so high anymore to do what I want to do. It's like I like doing Mythic Plus somewhat, but let me tell you, it's really hard to find groups as a tank player. By the way, let's check this out. Better aligned reward and difficulty increases by updating introduction points of affixes. So 2, 4, and 7. That's good. Why? Okay, wait. Okay, so +2 is always going to be like fortified tyrannical or something else that they could fit that slot that's similar. +4 is the new stuff they're adding, any of them, and then +7 is any of the other shitty affixes that they have available. Um, I I'm fine with that. I like that. That's one of the changes that I like that they made for season 4 for Dragonflight. Now these new fixes, tank player. By the way, I have to make my own groups in order to actually get a group, and even then, it's a slow process. It should not be. As a tank player, tanks and healers should be widely desired, but the classes are not balanced. So I think based on like the description for all these, I think this is like their Blizzard's attempt at balancing the classes for Mythic Plus. You know what you can do instead? You can balance the classes. We know you can do it. You balanced the hell out of Pandaria Remix. You can do it for an actual season. You don't need to like give these classes slaps on the wrist at the end of every season because you're worried about like, oh no, the mage players. No, we can't nerf them in the middle of the season. Then they're gonna be mad. Fuck the mage players. Give like everyone shouldn't be so far apart. And like there's a I believe it's for the difference between rating and Mythic Plus, because like there are two different skill sets for that, right? That are needed from a character. PvP is not being mentioned because I'm pretty sure PvP balancing is separate nowadays. But in the past, PvP was an issue. But like, it's fine for classes to be not as strong as other classes in Mythic Plus. Like, it's okay for classes to not be as strong as others in rating. The disparity between all of that should not be so drastic. I saw a Twitter post earlier today. Still calling it Twitter. I don't care. It was like the top rankings for Mythic Plus. And for the tanks, for Brewmaster, Protection Paladin, Protection Warrior, Blood Death Knight, Druid, I think that's all of them. There was like 10 to 20 of each, or less. And then Demon Hunter was up there at like 200 or something, which is not correct. It should not be like that. Healer is also experiencing the same problem. Restoration Druid was far and above the rest of the healers. So what's going on here? That shouldn't be happening. I need to take a drink. I'm kind of ranting. I don't know if you can tell. I don't know how it is for DPS players, but let me tell you, as a DPS player, I just don't get into keys, period. Like, as a tank, there's like a 1 in 20 chance I actually get accepted into a group. Blood Death Knight. And, you know, that's why I make my own groups. And I'm not going to be making my own group as a DPS, because then I'm not going to find a tank. And then we're back to the same problem. Because, like, I'm doing low-level keys. Because I'm not, like, a hardcore player. But I'd say I'm, like, casual. But, like, the skill level that I play at is slightly above casual, but I'm still like mainly casual. Like, I could certainly do heroic raiding. I've done in the past. It's just that I don't really have a group to do it with, but I would love to raid, for being honest. I like raiding more than dungeons, that's for sure. Where was I? Grouping up for dungeons is a pain in the ass as anybody, unless you're a class that's widely wanted. Like, I think mages are desired. I know demon hunters are desired. Tanks, I don't know about DPS. I think DPS are too. Don't quote me on that. I think priests are desired nowadays because they made some changes. I don't think shamans are necessarily desired, but I do think they're really good in the right hands. I could say that about any class, but like the difference between a good shaman and a bad shaman is massive. Let me tell you what. Anyway, let me read out these affixes for all of you that haven't read them, or maybe you read them while I've been ranting. So, new affix, Reckless. Non-boss enemies without mana, which I feel like it would be most of the enemies, ignore 20% armor with their attacks, but their armor is reduced by 30, and they take 10% increased arcane damage. This one is, like, okay. Like, it's good for DPS, but it's bad for the tank and healer, which is a common theme between these new affixes. Like, non-boss enemies ignoring 20% armor, that's a lot of armor. That's a lot of armor to ignore, and you have to remember that they're probably going to add in armor reducing abilities to those mobs, armor shredding abilities. So you let a cast go off or something, or they'll just have it in like their auto attack or whatever, and bam, there goes 10% more of your armor. So they're ignoring 30% of your armor with their attacks. And that's terrible. As a Blood Death Knight, I'll just heal myself. But like for other tanks, I don't think other tanks are as self-sufficient as Blood Death Knight. Yeah. I'm gonna have to loop the song. Let me get that done. I like the fact that they are giving a positive on an affix. I do wish they made it more interactive. Like, make us do something to get a buff rather than just have it on blanket on all the mobs. Also, I just realized this effect, their armor reduced by 30% and take increased arcane damage, that's only for enemies. That's only for non-boss enemies without mana. So this is nothing against casters. And then they've got some down here that are with mana, but it's just non-boss enemies with mana have 30% increased haste, but take 10% increased frost and fire damage. Do you know how bad that's going to be? Do you know how often DPS don't interrupt already? Because they don't know how to? They're just going to use this as an excuse for not being able to interrupt. That was focused. Attuned. Non-boss enemies with mana inflict 20% increased magic damage. Fine. Because I assume that there's going to be casts on those guys that you can interrupt. But take 10% increased nature damage and 30% increased damage from bleed effects. So that's druids and rogues. And shamans. Thorned. Non-boss enemies without mana inflict physical damage to their attackers when attacked, but take 10% increased holy and shadow damage. What do you want, phone? Nothing. Out of all of these, I do think they're all bad. Like, I think they're all okay, actually. But, like, it's definitely not what I want to see. But the best one out of all of these is probably Attuned. Is it? I don't like the concept of Thorned. That's a lot of extra work on the healer because DPS are already going to be getting hit by random nonsense. Because of pulls in Mythic Plus, they are not necessarily designed. But the player base has got it like in their brains to pull massive and only pull massive. So this the damage from attacking enemies on top of any unavoidable damage, any AoEs that are hard to see because of all the enemies in the area, any enemies that are not aggroed on the tank for whatever reason. Maybe a DPS hit them before the tank could get aggro on them. Who knows? But it's just a recipe for disaster. This is a pain in the ass for everybody. Reckless. Because ignoring 20% of a tank's armor is a lot more impactful than you might think. And if the tank goes down, they're going to be ignoring 20% of everybody else's armor. 20% increased magic damage. I'm not necessarily worried about this, considering that, you know, I'll interrupt the enemies. I have anti-magic shell at least, and zone if I feel like taking it. Um, I pray to God the DPS would interrupt. They probably won't though, which is why I have the backups. Non-boss enemies may have 30% increased haste. This is definitely the worst one out of all of these. Definitely the worst one. Yeah. I'd say focused is the worst, then thorned, then reckless, then attuned. But like all of these are bad. Why can't they just so like once per combat, a fix. Blizzard, here's an idea for you. You don't even have to credit me for it. I'll know if you use it because it'll be in the game. But like, I've got an idea for you to iterate on. Okay, once per combat, so it rewards players that will continue forward, chaining the combats along, rewarding gameplay to keep it active. Once per combat, a thing spawns, right? And they need to interrupt it or kill it or do something to it. Maybe it's like a thing spawns and a certain amount of enemies have to die next to it to like absorb their souls or something like that, blood, whatever. And then once that's done, you have to move all the mobs out because if it gets another one, it applies a debuff until you leave combat. And if you successfully do it, after like, I don't know, 10 seconds of it being there with the right amount of kills next to it, it applies a buff to everybody in the party. A percent buff, a flat buff to like health or damage or haste, cooldown reduction, something interactive. Maybe it gives them more move speed to help them chain along the combats. But like just something more interesting and interactive, man. Come on. Let's take a look at all this down here. Affixes will not affect every creature. Yeah, we can tell. New passive affix bucket set to replace a current +4 bucket. Following affixes will be retired. Afflicted, I don't remember that one. Incorporeal, I don't remember that one. Entangling, that was bad. Volcanic, that was bad. Storming, I think that one was fine. That one was fine. To match the number of affixes in our level 4 bucket and align with our affix goals in TWW, we will be retiring the Spiteful affix. Thank God. +7 affix bucket includes the following: Raging, Bolstering, bad. Bursting, bad. Sanguine, bad. I don't remember what Raging is. Tyrannical, and Fortified. We are still experimenting with how these affixes fit in with our updates. They don't. Remove them. Believe these changes will offer a refreshing experience for players at all levels each season and redefine how the Mythic plus affix system influences dungeon gameplay. We look forward to your feedback and discussions on these topics, and we'll see you in dungeons. Are you guys ready to look at the comments of Wowhead and see how mad the people are? They don't have the comments on. Do I gotta really go to here? Let me look at the comments. Let me look at the comments. Oh no, this is just for the old changes. Source. Here we go. Let's take a look at the comments. Lorelai, you've got a good point. I'm worried in pugs people are going to only take the specs that provide the extra damage. That is a big one. I saw people on Twitter like, oh, these changes are good. I'm finally gonna get invited like 1 out of every 4 weeks instead of 0 out of however many weeks the season is. Comedy, But we need to understand that they are like being ironic. They are not actually happy about this. They want stuff to be balanced. They want all classes to be available to be invited, and like at some point the players are just going to meta the fuck out of the game. And then like certain classes will be more desirable than others because that's the nature of World of Warcraft players, and they all orchestrate their own downfall. But that is no reason not to balance the game. Oh. On Reckless Weeks, people will want me as Arcane and Group Kick, but on Focused I can stay Frost. Tuned and Thorned, well, making my own groups, which isn't a bad thing, but not an option if everyone is doing it. True. Important read there. Really glad of the following. It removes the most obnoxious ones from that pool. New affixes, however, at first glance I have the following concerns. On Fortified Weeks, all of these passive affixes will be absolute cancer. True! For those of you that don't know, let me look it up just to make sure. Fortified. Probably should have... I'm pretty sure that's the one that makes the mobs better. Yeah, non-boss enemies have more health and more damage. So, if Fortified matches up with... Well, I mean, it will match up with one of these, because these are the only 4 affixes available for +4. So Fortified plus one of these is going to be ass. Because they're going to be doing 20% more damage. They're probably not... I think they're going to change the numbers on this. I hope they change the numbers, but if they don't... 20% or 30% more damage while also ignoring 20% of your armor. That's like one shot. Probably not one shot, but it's like you're gonna take a lot more damage than you used to. Damage increase to compensate for the damage increase of the mobs are hyper-specific and will lead to specs being cherry-picked per week and others ignored. Some will straight out never be good. True. Reading through all of this, I believe... I believe the... What's it called? Not the rogue spec. I think Survival Hunter. I think Survival Hunter has a bunch of different damage. While it's mainly physical, so they're good for Reckless, I think a lot of their damage is also nature and fire. But I don't remember. Mechanic bloat that historically plagued dungeon trash mobs will create weeks where such affixes are just anti-fun. Yes. A lot of the ways that mobs are designed in Mythic Plus, or dungeons in general, is that all of them cast something, whether that be a like cone AoE in front of them, an AoE around them, just a targeted spell. It's impossible to really interrupt everything. And some things just can't be interrupted, so you need to avoid it. And some of these affixes would make that almost impossible to deal with well. Combined with bolstering and raging, we have an absolute nightmare scenario being designed. Kiting meta, yay. I remember the kiting meta. Some of it. Oh, and Demon Hunter are again even more meta than they were. Chaos damage for the win, I suppose. Or monks. Chaos damage, I believe, is fire. And Actually, no, I think chaos damage is its own type. Is it its own type? I know like all of the special damage names in WoW are like something plus something. It's a uniquely comprehensive multi-school. Oh. Oh, it's all of them. Chaos is all of them. Busted ass character. So let's see. Demon Hunters get a bonus on this one. They get a bonus on not this one. Optionally. It says and shadow. This one. Not this one. All of it. It's all of them. It's all of them. All the above could be mitigated by the removal of tyrannical and fortified. True. I hate these two. Tyrannical and fortified do not feel good. The buff for the bosses is too high, and same with the trash mobs. Like the health is probably fine, maybe, but like they should really just be nerfed by like 10%. It'd be better. It wouldn't be good. It'd be better. None of these are fun. True. Raging, bolstering, bullet bursting, and sanguine are not fun. Postulated by Arthur. I like it except for the dungeons you brought back. Mist, Siege, and I don't know what NW is. I already forgot the dungeon list. Oh, Necrotic Wake. These are absolutely not the way, and I cannot believe this got approved. So instead of balancing things better, you're going to make it so whenever spec/class command has 1 in 4 weeks where it's meta, and what, we just take 3 weeks off in between? Get 2 push weeks a season. Whenever it falls on Fort for buff week, and whenever it falls on Tyran. Please, I try to be mostly positive, but this has to be the worst indefensible idea I've ever seen you guys post. No, I'm sorry. The affixes that favor certain damage types need to be thrown out right damn now. Trash idea, trash concept. No, 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 no. Okay. We've got someone giving feedback on specific parts, citing their sources. Again, caps lock, level 60, void up warlock. What are you saying? Not sure if the goal with these is just to make the dungeons harder without increasing the amount of things players have to think about, because evidently incorporeal and afflicted were too much despite being probably the easiest affixes we've ever had. But that's what it looks like. You gotta understand, the DPS players, they just want to do damage. They don't want to have to deal with any mechanics. I mean, these are the easy affixes currently on live. On top of this dungeon being terrible, Siege of Borealis, final boss Ashvane Spotter, it was explicitly excluded from cross-faction instances when that was launched. How will that work? How? Funny. You guys are getting rid of the affixes people find the least intrusive and keeping the ones that are most universally disliked. Big miss here. Please swap these 2 buckets. So they want to keep all of these and then get rid of these. Bolstering and sanguine are never fun and always annoying. Tons of people see those affixes and straight up choose not to play the game that week. I don't know what raging is. Bolstering is when a enemy dies, it buffs everybody around them. All the enemies around them, of course. So as you kill the mobs, they get stronger. So you want to kill them all around the same time. Bursting is the opposite. Whenever a mob dies, they burst, putting a dot on you that stacks. So you want stuff not to die at the same time. And also, when it stacks, it resets the duration. So if you kill another mob when there's like 2 seconds or 1 second left, it's back to full duration. It's terrible. Sanguine. When a mob dies, they leave a pool behind. This does 2 things. The pool, I believe it grows in size for each mob killed on it, but I don't know if that one's true. Don't quote me on that. But it damages the player for standing in it, and it heals the enemies for standing in it. It's dog shit. It's absolute dog shit. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's bad. Terrible. I feel like Mythic Plus could be so much better if the affixes were not as annoying. Like, come on, man. Blizzard's not gonna watch this. It's 30 minutes. I'm not editing it. I'm gonna upload this as is. But Blizzard, if you watch this, just please, just like take my idea I had before, iterate on it, make it better, use it. You don't even have to credit me. Just get rid of all the bad affixes in Mythic Plus. I'd love you forever. I'll buy the freaking, what is it, Epic Edition for War Within. I think it's Epic Edition is the best one. But if you take this idea, I'll buy the Epic Edition, and we can all be like happy together with good affixes. You get $90. I get good affixes for the season, and everybody's happy. Everybody's happy. Yeah. That's it. Rant's over. I might rant again about something if I really feel the need to. I don't really like ranting about stuff, but it's just like, this has been going on since Legion. Legion. It's been like not 7 years. It's 5 or 6 years since Legion came out. Like, you gotta understand. They should have made this better by now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.